3 rules for national peat reduction plans. Several European countries have enacted national peat reduction plans. What are the necessary conditions for them to work? First of all, there is a persistent myth. Regulation only has an effect if it's on a European level. Quite frankly, in the current political situation, it's unlikely that this topic will make it high enough on the political agenda and that agreement on it can be reached on a European level. Does this mean that national plans are useless? Certainly, they are not. The UK and Switzerland are the European frontrunners in peat reduction. They pull the rest of Europe in their direction. Growers introduce peat-free product lines to stay in business with these countries. These national initiatives have ripple effects throughout the entire market. Will these countries damage their domestic industries? No, certainly not. They make their industries fit for the transition and force them to become best of class. However, you need to follow Rule 1. The reduction plans must be defined at a product level so that the same rules apply to suppliers from other countries as well. The second rule is about transparency. Industry figures need to be reported and independently checked. We can only enact changes if we know what happens and can check if political instruments have an effect. The Dutch Covenant has such a provision for the industry figures to be independently checked and verified, which has not yet taken effect. If it does happen, it would be the world's first to the best of our knowledge. The third rule deals with the so-called LCA, a life cycle assessment of the environmental impact of substrate components. You should ensure the market moves towards the most sustainable alternatives when replacing peat. So, Rule 3. Such an LCA must be set up, administered and checked according to stringent international and scientific standards. Conflicts of interest need to be transparent and minimized wherever possible. To our knowledge, the only LCA that is purely publicly financed to date is from the Swiss ZHAW. The peat industry or related lobby groups finance all others. The most fiercely pro-peat lobby group in Europe is GME, Growing Media Europe. See this source and also the comments for their funky rhetoric telling us that extracting peat makes a bog a better place. The currently discussed LCA, which might be used for the Dutch Covenant, is paid for by GME. GME delivers all the base data going into the model and sits in all relevant oversight panels. The danger that this LCA is heavily biased in favor of peat is enormous. Sufficient transparency about the LCA tool and the data going into it is currently missing. Following these 3 simple rules is the essence of national peat reduction plans. If Rule 1 is not followed, the domestic industry is damaged. If Rules 2 and 3 are not followed, the peat reduction plan is an empty shell, a greenwashing vehicle.